Hey, welcome back, Rankers. How you going? Longest break in the history of the world again. I haven't seen you for months. So, what's been happening? Well, we've been really busy with AI, and not only doing our own thing with marketing and analysis, which we'll get to in a second, but also we're starting to do some AI consulting for businesses, which some of it's marketing related and other parts of it is not. It could just be looking at certain processes in a business and helping them understand where AI might be able to help. And some of the stuff that's coming out is just fascinating. And I said at the beginning of the year in a show that treat AI like a tool or like a better paintbrush. And I still hold by that. That's still very true. And like a hammer, depending on who's using it, it can create something beautiful or destroy something very simply. So I wanted to, and I've seen both done by the way, with AI this year. So I wanted to just go through our 5 top tips. Now, stay tuned, there will be a freebie at the end of this where I'll send you out a document that goes into the details of these tips and some steps that you can take in your own business. Some of the things that we're seeing going wrong are lack of visibility on what we know are the basics of great user experience and a great site. And to give you an idea of that, Google's just come out again this week and said that, hey, guess what? SEO fundamentals are still important. They've always been important. That's why they're fundamentals. But we've been saying that if you've been following the show for the last 20 years, you'll know that's what we've been saying. That still applies. And we're seeing real reasons to do that, not only for Google, but for AI. And the reason I say that is that if you remember at the beginning of the year, I said we're going to have smart assistants emerge, which are going to look at your purchase history, they're going to look at what brands you like, they're going to look at all sorts of things about you. Well, that product's out there now, right? That's called multi-on. You can go and Google that. There's a lot of people that aren't Googling things. You could also just go to ChatGPT 4 Plus, if you're a user, switch on, say, a web pilot or any plugin that will give you internet access and ask it, and it will find it for you. But multi-on, it is that. It is verging on what I said at the beginning of the year, her. So what does that mean as it relates to SEO? Well, the fundamentals. The data that the AI looks at and receives is helped by things like structured data, by things like heading tags, by things like page titles, and also customer experience. And the reason I say that is because Google has been on about customer experience for ages, Core Web Vitals, all those sorts of things, user experience. It's even more so with smart assistants. I did an exercise where I went to Bard, and I'll show you a screenshot in a second. I went to Bard and I asked Bard where would be the best place to buy X, and I used the key phrase that one of my clients ranks number 1 for in Sydney. And I tested the search in Sydney, we still ranked number 1. I went and asked Bard, where would I buy this product? Use the search phrase. Bard listed my client as number 10. And the reason it listed my client as the 10th choice and not the first choice is because our free shipping threshold was the highest. And I quizzed Bard about that, as you can see, and that's what it agreed, that yeah, it's got good stuff. Yes, it does rank number 1, but you know, your free shipping threshold is higher than everyone else's. So is Google looking at that? Maybe not, because we rank number 1. But they do ask for it, and we know ads is looking at it, because that's what Google Merchant Center is always about, you know, advertiser excellence and all those sorts of, all the ratings that we've got for our clients on advertiser verification, trusted advertiser, all those sorts of things. Your returns policy, all those things come into it with ads. So AI is going to look at that as well. The smart assistants are looking at those things as well. So you've got to signpost everything, as we've always said with SEO, like you've always done. Speed, 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 good user experience. And of course, brand, brand is going to be everything. Because if you've got those shoppers and those customers connected with your brand, then the smart assistants of the future will know that, right? And they will recommend it maybe to your friends as well, right? Similar to what Google does with its own algorithm and entity search and those sorts of things, right? Smart assistants are that, but what Google was always trying to be. And that's the other interesting thing that's happening with Google. Is it in a panic? We're seeing a lot of stuff come out of Google right now, a lot of talk about AI, but when you look at what Bard tells me about my client who ranks #1, who also has an ad, and you're not recommending him, then something is wrong with your product. And I think we're going to see more of that. We're already seeing some searches in keywords drop off, and we think they're going to ChatGPT or other AI tools because it's quicker to get the answers. Certainly that's the case with me. Certainly with Python searches, I'm not going to go and Google a function or a library or anything like that. I'm going to ask ChatGPT. Second, content. You can create gobloads of content with AI if you didn't already know. You can create it in the tone of Shakespeare, your favourite writer, whatever you like. Make sure you write it in the tone of your shoppers and your buyers and language that they respond to. Don't, for goodness sake, go to any of these tools and say to them, can you write me an article that will rank well in Google for this phrase, and then stick it on your category page, as I've seen some clients do. Looking at you, you know who you are. I've told them, what are you doing? Oh, I was just trying it out. No, because the reason for that, why that's a bad idea, is A, you're going to get junk content full of keywords because these large language models like ChatGPT, Bard, all of these others, they learn from what's on the internet and what they've consumed. So if they've consumed garbage and that garbage might be sort of what you want, it's going to give it to you, okay? So remember, the content is not for Google. If you're writing content as an e-commerce business to try to attract more people from Google, that content is not going to convert, and most likely it's costing you more to create than what you're making from it, because that sort of content will bring traffic in, but it won't convert. Okay, so you need to have a look at that. That's why things like shops like Bunnings don't have a library, right? They'll have workshops, show you how to do stuff, that's content, but they don't have a library for you to come in and read how to build a table, okay? So it's there for shoppers. The content is for shoppers, not for Google. So don't use it just to create content. We put everything that we do through a brand persona. So like you can say, hey, write it in the tone of Shakespeare. We write it in the tone, if we're going to use it, in the tone of our brand personas. And we've got a tool for that now that allows us to have all these client inputs about their brand and who they're targeting. And that gives us a great idea of who we should be talking to and the language that should be used across all platforms. That's EDMs, of which we're doing a lot now, and we're using mainly Klaviyo. If you're using something else, let us know what it is. I love competition. And we're using that template to make sure you get that consistency of voice across advertising, EDMs, category pages, all those sorts of things. So you can use it well, and you can use it badly, just like a hammer. Make sure you go and do that test with Google Bard or ChatGPT with Web Pilot switched on, and ask them where to buy, use your key phrase, if it's, you know, wholesale green eggs in Sydney, make sure you put that in, where's the best place to buy wholesale green eggs in Sydney, and see what comes back and see what the choices are, and ask it why it made those choices, okay? And you might get some insights from that. We've got a lot of tools that we use that just go and get that information now. It's quite amazing. analysis. Analysis is what used to take me days can now take a few hours to get the data I want. So use these tools for analysis in your own industry. Have a look at data that's out there that you can get your hands on, whether it be ABS data, government data, whatever it is. Start to think about how you can use that with these tools to enhance your business and enhance your growth. I've got a tool on my desktop that it's an autonomous agent, basically. It uses ChatGPT, and I've adapted it so that it will go and take a search query from a user, go and check that search query in Google Trends, look for related queries around that query, and then come back and tell me of those top 3 related queries, who's ranking for those in Google. And that is just a really good time-saving tool for me because I use it for all sorts of things. We've got other tools that query other data sources, but there is so much that you can do. One of the things that we did for AI consulting the other day, using the tools that we've developed now, is a client said to me, I'm trying to work out, I haven't categorized my database of customers, and I'd like to know what industries they're from, because they're a B2B. So I said, yeah, we can do that for you. We can do that. And all the data that we would need is the email addresses, and we'll work that out. So anything like that now, we just go, how can we do this fast? And remember that the quality of your content or the output that you get from ChatGPT is only as good as the information that you give it. So make sure you spend some time. There's been some talk out there about ChatGPT-4 becoming dumber, and it has a little bit. The prompt that I did earlier this year, where I got a Chrome extension from a single prompt, you can see the video where I've done that live, that no longer works if you're trying that. So you've got to be more specific about the sorts of things that you want now. I want to talk just finally, so make sure you do your fundamentals. Make sure you don't just use it to write content for SEO. That will be a disaster for you. Make sure you use it for analysis. Analyze your own customer experience. Go and do that BARD exercise. Go and do these things. Finally, I just want to say one more thing about family, and that is your family, my family. I've recently had 2 of my grandsons through doing work experience, and I taught them everything there was to know that I knew at the time, I know a lot more now, about AI and the tools. And the reason for that is they weren't learning any of it at school. Now, I'm sure their parents are horrified, but my take on it is this: the sooner we all learn to use these tools and how they work, the better. Now, some people will say, oh, it's quite expensive. It is. However, there are free ones out there. So for your own family and for your own personal use, if you want to start playing with it, but you don't want to spend money with anyone, then you can go to GPT for All. Just look that one up. You can either use Google or AI to find that. GPT for All, and that's with the number 4. That is, you can use a whole bunch of different models in there, and it's free. You don't get charged. You don't even have to be connected to the internet. It's advisable that you have at least 8 gig of RAM, but you're probably better with 16. Poe.com. This is the Quora AI chatbot, and it has been reverse engineered so anybody can log in and have a variety of chatbots that they can use. Now, there's a limited amount of use that you get, but for most people, it's probably enough at that free level until you start to get really clever. So there's a number of ways out there, of course, Bing Chat, which is GPT, and plus you've got your BARD and everything else as well. I'd love to know what you're doing, but for us, this just opens up so many doors. We've got a data scientist in our pocket. We've got an analyst in our pocket. We've got UX designers, human computer interface professionals in our pocket now. Love to know what you're doing. Sorry it's such a long show, but it's been such a long time. And the freebie. If you want a detailed walkthrough of these and links and all that sort of stuff, let me know, jim@stuartmedia.biz, and we'll get it sent out to you. Hopefully that's helpful. We'll see you soon, maybe. Thanks very much. Bye.